Happy Tuesday to you. You know what? I hate it when people do that. Happy Monday. And I just did it. Ugh, I'm awful. All right. Well, how's everybody doing? We're back and cooking a little bit here. Getting back in the swing of things. Indie agency news. Our brief is simple. Build a global home for independent agencies. Our mission is to serve indies and the brilliant people behind them. Our goal is more visibility for indies and more choice for marketers. I do want to take a moment to thank Christy Heiler, Gene Freeman, everybody at Own It last week in Los Angeles. We had a wonderful time. We're working on getting some of the audio taken care of so you can hear some of the interviews that we did for our live radio shtick. Yeah, it was great. And we're going to be doing more stuff on the road, including little happy hours. We got one in Amsterdam coming up that I'm going to put that information up today, actually. So we're heading over to Amsterdam. The kids have a weird couple days off from school. I don't mean that weird. It's just like, oh, there's like a holiday that nobody celebrates anymore, President's Day, because, well, you know, do the math. But also, an in-service day. So I said, yeah, let's go to Amsterdam for a long weekend, because our good friend Bert Hagendorn over at Agency Engines is going to be hosting us, and we invite indies to join, learn more about this mission. Speaking of which, very proud that we are one member away from our 200th agency member. Yep. This time last year we had 43. Now we're going to be announcing the number 200 here soon. And so grown in St. Louis, you got 199. I'll figure out something for you. I'll find you something. We got 5x5. Again, our good friends at Worldwide Partners, John Harris and company, thank you so much for the support. We got Sparrow Studios in DC. We got 5 in DC now, by the way. So the DMV is cooking. We got Campfire up in Boston, Friends Everywhere in Long Beach. Or wait, no, Campfire's in Portland, Maine. Friends Everywhere, Long Beach, Cracker Jack, Boston, LG2, Montreal, Toronto, Quebec. Again, another Worldwide Partners agency, and it goes on and on. So if you want to see our agencies by markets, you can just scroll on down here. And by the way, I made it very clear to Friends Everywhere in Long Beach that we're going to call it Long Beach. We're not going to put you in LA. So we got Canada, our first in Latin America, with founders in Mexico City. Again, mentioned Amsterdam. And then got to meet the founder of Blur Bureau at Own It. Holy shit, is she awesome. She's amazing. Really cool. So again, thank you to everybody for supporting this mission. Real quick, some more stuff. We do 4 awards per year. Our first one is design centric. So Indie Agency News Top 40 Design. We don't have categories. We have constructs. If it is remotely anything design, it counts. So it could be, what you would consider classic design, like graphic design, illustration. Digital design's a big one. Environmental, inclusive design, any sort of design, it counts. Indie Agency News members receive a 25% entry discount. Get in touch. And 3 to 6 fields to fill out. 3 are required, 3 are optional. We try to make this super easy for you. So if you want to copy and paste something you've already done for a different award show, please, by all means, do it. We try to keep it simple, then we'll count it down in March as well. The next deadline is the 14th of February. Our last deadline is the 21st. So get them in. Now, another thing, too, is you can prepay for your awards entries. So the rates go up, obviously. But if you want to prepay for your entries, you can get a 5-pack, you can get a 10-pack. So the 10-pack's $140 per entry. And like Delta Sky Miles, they do not, or Alaska Airlines mileage plan miles, they do not expire. So if you get the 10-pack, and you're like, you know what, we're only gonna use 5 of these this year. Cool, use them in 2026. The other thing too is we call it recession proof. Inflation proof your awards. So, but we're super stoked to do this. And again, thank you so much for all of your support. So today we have a twofer today. It was supposed to be a threefer, but I'm going to bring Dre in. So Andre Picard.
Hey guys.
Creative Director of Response. So we were going to have you and also Jason Musante from Glow. His flight was delayed. So we're going to bring him back, but we are going to talk to Kim Haxton. We pre-recorded that interview with her from Mythology. So the show's yours, dude.
Nice. No pressure. We went from the threefer to the twofer.
Well, it's okay. Now,
it's all right.
So you came on to Response. Shout out to Carolyn and the rest of the team. And let me pull up the site here. So I just typed Carolyn. That's the type of day I'm having, man. That is the type of day I am having right now. So give us the snapshot of you.
Yeah, snapshot. So
where'd you get cooking? I know you grew up in Connecticut.
Yeah. So snapshot would be Connecticut native, born through and through. You know, ironically enough, was born in New Haven. Didn't spend much time in New Haven, but I went to school. I went to school in Fairfield. I went to Sacred Heart. You know, it was always, I would say I was always pretty artistic, spent a lot of time in a sketchbook, whatever. But, you know, I come from like a blue collar family. So it was like, if I wasn't banging nails or doing construction, it wasn't real work, you know?
All right. I waited tables. So
yeah. So, went to school. I took graphic design as an elective, and the rest was history. You know,
it was an elective.
It was an elective.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So what was the first thing you worked on in that class? I'm always because my origin story is a little similar. So go ahead. I'm curious.
Sure. So I always had interest just for digital arts, right? Like I was always pretty computer savvy. Like I said, I had spent a lot of time with a pencil and paper sketching. But I took it as an elective. I had considered it almost like a throwaway class. I was like, oh, you know, this will be kind of fun just to kind of fulfill out my credits for the semester.
Right.
And it was a computer design basics class. And one of the first things that I had done was a poster using Illustrator. Yeah.
Oh my! Did you use Quark?
I did use Quark. We're definitely dating ourselves here, but
oh my God. So my really good friend Nick DeShane, who works at an agency here in Portland.
Yeah.
We used to we lived together in the early mid 90s, and like, dude, you guys see this thing? It's Quark.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yep. And it was like your whole knowledge set was based on the Classroom in a Book series, where you bought like the book that had the CD-ROM in it. Like prior to the days of like, yeah, here's a 30-second short on YouTube that'll tell you 80% of the things you need to know.
This $4,000 computer has 512 meg of memory, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So good. Yeah. So you got hooked on that.
Yeah, I got hooked, man.
What was your first gig?
Yeah, so I would say my sophomore year, I was like, all right, you know, I'm taking this seriously. I want to kind of get my feet wet, get out in the industry. So my first gig was a full-time internship at a company called Catapult Marketing. Yeah, they were a Ryan partnership company. And yeah, I was kind of grinding my teeth on, you know, some pretty reputable brands. I was doing a lot of traditional like marketing,
right.
You know, consumer promotion, shopper marketing, you know, a lot of the like traditional stuff, mostly print and some experiential stuff. But yeah,
print though, here's the thing too, is that, so I was in radio, that's how I got started. And so in design, print is analogous to copywriting in, you know, doing creative in radio, where it's like, if you can nail that, because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's super hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of great design, and since you're from Connecticut, the Hartford Whalers logo is still considered one of the greatest logos in history, not just sports.
Oh yeah. I'm a big hockey guy. So
Okay.
so the Whalers and kind of the Whalers monogram, I'm like, yeah, that will forever go down in
A
like
little,
the
yeah,
logo books.
a little Kevin Dineen, a
Oh,
little Burke,
Ver-
a little Mike Liut in goal.
Verbeek, like
Verbeek. I mean, classic.
yeah, I grew up going to see those guys play.
Oh my God. Yeah, that stadium was a dump. Now, I do have to say though, I grew up outside of Philadelphia, so the Spectrum was no walk in the park, let me tell you.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Every time I walked out of that building, I felt sick. And I think I did get sick every time. So, all right. So, so you start getting your teeth cut into this. So, and you're doing this sophomore year of college, by the way?
Sophomore year of college. Yeah.
Okay. So you're doing the hustle.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was definitely doing the hustle. I definitely subscribed to quite a bit. I was full-time student. I had a full-time internship.
Wow.
Yeah, but I wanted to see if it was for me or not,
Right. All right. So you graduate. Give us a little bit more on your the ports of call, as it were.
Sure. Yeah. So I just really wanted to, like I said, get ahead of the curve, kind of see if it was for me. And being out in the real world definitely kind of shot me out of a cannon, right? I was, my senior portfolio was like all client work and like real world stuff and what have you. So I ended up landing a job right out of college. I worked for a company called Alcone Marketing, doing a lot of the same type of stuff. But, the only thing that the thing that changed there for me was that, we were a relatively lean team and, I was all over the place, like in college, as far as like, okay, I'm going to dive deep into like motion design and web design. And then I'm going to do like photography and video. And so I was definitely hard to tame. But what Alcone allowed me to start to like experiment with that. Right. So, so I wasn't necessarily limited to like the print or just the marketing execution. Like I was getting to wear a few more hats. So I did that for a few years. Kind of jumped around a little bit. Followed one of my mentors a couple times.
Great.
And then just casually one day he was like, "Hey, do you want to, would you entertain the idea of starting something?" And I was like, I'm young, I'm hungry. My student loans had kicked in like full bore at that point. And I'm like, man, I got bills to pay. Like that's a kind of, I need some like security there, man. So
check this out. Carlos, dude, I worked at Alcone.
Nice. Yeah. So I made a leap of faith and, we were working out of a little rental space. It was called the Barn. It was actually a barn.
I love that.
And, we were passing around little like USB drives, we didn't even have printers or none of that stuff yet. And we were just pitching, like trying to get our names in the door. And all it took was like one big client. And, we ended up hitting Starbucks as a brand. And, I was one of the lead designers on Starbucks for a handful of years, but, we had to hire like 20, 30 people. Over.
And what years was this?
This is going back, I'd say 2010.
Oh, okay. All right. So interesting era there.
Yeah. 11, 12.
Yeah.
In and around that time. So yeah, I spent a lot of time on Starbucks and like the emerging side of their businesses. So some of the brands that they might white label, but also, like Evolution Fresh, Tazo Teas, Tivana, like these are all brands that were all up under Starbucks. So
and Tazo Tea was founded in Portland, Oregon.
There we go.
Come on, trivia.
Yeah.
Trivia. And then Tivana, didn't Oprah have a stake in that?
Yeah. They've been all over the place, but they were kind of like the high end tea.
Right. I remember there was a Tivana in the mall near us, and we were like, oh, oh my God. It's the Oprah tea.
Yeah, beautiful, like beautiful store designs and whatnot. I feel like.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. That was an experience. That was really cool.
Yeah.
And I will say that when you go, like when you're up in Seattle and you go to, it's It's up in Capitol Hill, like the big roastery
Yep.
area.
Yep.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's just fun, and that's
Yeah.
cool, and that's I really
So-
like that. Yeah, I'm a little bullish on the brand and where it's going to be heading in the next several years.
Sure.
So I think it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be very positive. But before we turn this into CNBC, and then digital surgeons.
Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, from that point on, there was some M&As that had happened.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I ended up taking another role at another agency. And like I said, I was like addicted to that, like multidisciplinary, like, okay, I'm going to do some of this. I'm going to do some of this. I'm going to do some of that.
Right.
And then, digital surgeons was my first job going north. So, everything that I had done was like heading south, like just outside the city. That was
interesting.
That was like the marketing mecca, right? Yeah. And it was my first job going north, and it was just small shop. They were doing really, really, really interesting work. I just came across like a networking event that they had. And
that's the way it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the best way for all of that to, oh my God. So good. Yeah. And now you're here. So what, I'm going to get to some of the work here in a second, because I got some questions for you, young man, specifically about pizza in Connecticut. But I mean, obviously I've gotten a chance to meet like the main folk.
Yeah.
I mean, what wonderful people. Really interesting agency, really interesting work. What was the big appeal for you for coming in?
Yeah. I would say one of the biggest things for me was they have this like underdog spirit. That was something really interesting to me. Digital surgeons was the same. And, I feel like with that underdog spirit, there's no ego. There's this whole like under promise, over deliver, and like just this hunger to continue to push it. None of the big corporate red tape or the bureaucracy. It's just, small, nimble. If there's something you change it. Right. And then I met with a few people, and we were already transitioning to like going fully remote at the time some of these conversations started to happen. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. Like I still, I like to work remote, but at the same time, like I like to collaborate with people in real time and like know that that's an option. And then I met Carolyn and David, and they were just great people. So I was like, I'm in, let's go.
Yeah. Carolyn and David are lovely. It's just, and that's the thing, like the thing to remember about this, and especially on the indie side of it, is obviously with what we're building here, people are investing in this. And so it's that thing where I look at it and it's so nice to understand. Just not, you can figure out what somebody does for work, right? But it's the why, it's the how, it's the what matters the most to them. And ultimately, we all want what's going to be best for clients and what's best for their growth. But there are so many different ways to do it, and so many points of view and so many philosophies, but it's just so fun. And, there is, sometimes there's East Coast, West Coast, or Europeans a little bit different. And that's been really cool, because seeing some of the nuances of it, but underneath it all, it's all very similar in that you said underdog. And so that's our next award is actually weirdos, underdogs. It's weirdos, misfits, and underdogs. And so we're going to celebrate us. It's like us that are the weirdos. We are the misfits. We are the underdogs. And like yourself, I didn't have family in this industry. And so I think we have slightly similar paths, not quite as blue collar, but I had family members definitely very blue collar. Insurance, let's just say that there was a lot of insurance in going on, and that didn't seem terribly appealing to me. But I'm curious for your perspective, especially for either a younger person or a newer person that might be interested in this, but their worldview might very well be that their family works at a Ford factory, or works in like finance or whatever. I'm curious, what advice would you give to a student or younger person or somebody that's transitioning into this industry? Like how they should approach it, not necessarily from the nuts and bolts of the work, but philosophically and mentally.
Yeah, totally. No, that's a great question. Yeah, I definitely had a lot of resistance.
Sure.
As I was getting into kind of more and more art, and it was such a subjective thing, and like,
Mm-hmm.
am I going to be the stereotypical like starving artist, right? But in looking back, I think my advice would be, the application of how you choose to do whatever it is you enjoy doing. You don't have to have that figured out yet, but
Right.
the thing that's most important is just that you're putting yourself in a context where you enjoy doing what you're doing, because the universe is going to reward you infinite ways for doing that, right? So
Right.
that may spark new opportunities, that may take you in a different direction. Whereas if you subject yourself to just doing something because you feel like you should, it's
Right.
something your parents would approve of, or
Right.
is you're taking over your family business, but it doesn't feel right in your gut. Like I would argue you're just going to continue to put yourself into positions that don't really do anything for you and aren't fulfilling. And it just becomes a domino effect, right? So it's,
Right.
you might as well just put yourself into the context that you enjoy, and then whatever transpires, transpires,
Yep. No, that's fantastic. All right. So here's what we got to discuss. All right. And by the way, I love this work. All right. So to explain New Haven pizza to everybody. So like everyone's saying, this is the best pizza in the world. You're going to get people from New York arguing. It's like, I'm not taking Metro North for that. So this is beautiful, by the way. I love this. And here's the thing with this design. Do you know how that particular typeface can be overly crafty?
Mm-hmm.
I love the vocabulary of this because the pizza piece of it anchors it really well. This is not none of this is distracting at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love it because it definitely articulates handcrafted, but like it's super clean, but it also breathes a little bit.
Sure.
So explain the pizza thing first.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to insert my own bias here, but
no, please do. Come on.
People, I think people would certainly say that New Haven's the pizza mecca of the world. I don't let me convince you of that, but just just
right.
Google searches. There's some interesting nationwide.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Yeah.
No, but the pizza scene in New Haven is, there's a lot of family heritage. There's a lot of Italian heritage. There's a lot of competition, right? Like we literally have like a Wooster Street that's got pizza joints on both sides for the whole length of the street, and they all follow a very similar style, that thin crust, right? Like charred crust. And then they all have their own specialty pizzas and
right.
So.
This is so nice. This is so well done.
Yeah, with Sally's, what we were trying to do was just elevate that whole experience, right? Like try to further differentiate them from the rest of the street, from the rest of the competitors, because they've been around for a bit. So it was almost trying to give them the ability to kind of restake their territory. Yeah,
my mom's side's Italian, so I'm looking at some of these pictures. I'm like, oh, that looks like a wedding at the Knights of Columbus Hall. Oh my God. Salvatore Sally Consiglio.
Yep.
Oh my Lord. Do you know where the family is from? What part of Italy?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I do know the heritage. Just the Consiglio name runs deep in New Haven.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I like this. And that's the thing, when I look at work from agencies, there is the national, the global, and then I love seeing the local and the regional stuff, because it's, to me, that work feels almost, actually it is, it's more personal.
Sure.
right? And honestly, it feels like there's more at stake when you're doing local, because that is a very, very specific thing. I'm not saying that global and national is not, but when you're doing something local, especially with institutions like a Sally's, like you have to take real good care of that.
Sure.
Or people are going to get pissed.
Yeah, well, I would argue too, right? Like if it's it's no different than doing work with like a startup, right? Like they have, there is no bar. Like